How could I ever say no to someone paying me for something that I love to do? Seems like a strange thing, right? Wrong. A lot of the time when I'm doing design work, it can go wrong. And a lot of the time when it does go wrong, it is what I would think at first is the client's fault. Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Paterson, and welcome back to a new video. Today, I'm going to be showing you why and telling you why I say no to a lot of clients, to about 60 to 80% of them. We've all been in positions where we are just dying for some work. I mean, right now, let's face it, the world's going a bit haywire. So people who want work, especially in the design industry, who are freelance, who are not very well known, are struggling. And a lot of the time, we compromise on who we want to work for the money now, which is totally understandable. And I'm not saying not to do that. Okay, so let me just cut into the meat of what I mean about not saying yes to every client. Number one, they aren't the right client. What do I mean by this? Well, there are sometimes red flags that appear, and these red flags you can see coming from miles away when you're introduced and experienced into the design industry. These red flags consist of a client asking you to design the logo, but they have an idea of what they already want, so they just want you to vectorize it. B, they don't want to pay you a deposit. They would like to just pay you after the project. And C, they will allow you to do anything you want. Creative freedom, total creative freedom. These red flags appear all the time, and most of the time when I speak to them, I explain to a client, which I meet face to face through a FaceTime conversation or a Zoom call, I'll explain to them that, maybe it's not a good idea for me just to produce an idea that you already have, but it's better for me to actually design you the logo, as that is my profession and that's where I'm an expert in. Or maybe I'll say something along the lines of, I need a goal. If you don't have any goals for this design, and if you don't have a brief, I can help you write one, but we need to set up some goals and metric for success. And a client must always pay half of the money, so that's the deposit payment, 50% upfront before the work begins. And if there's any question on that, then it's an instant no. Now, a lot of people will be thinking, oh, it's easy for you to say you get a lot of client work. And yes, it is a lot easier for me to say all this, because we do get client work here. We are an agency, we work for companies big and small, and we can say yes or no. Now, a lot of the time I hear complaints online through Reddit and Facebook that the client is just bad. They're the wrong client, you shouldn't have them. A lot of the time it's not that the client's bad, it's just they're wrong for you. And if you allow them to work with you, and if you allow this, then you are the wrong designer, because you're never going to meet halfway with each other and compromise on certain issues. Me and my wife, who is near me, who works in the company as an administrative director, that basically means she organizes everything that I do with work, and she takes over the admin side of talking to clients, everything else. She can generally tell if a client is good for me or bad. By that, they're not bad people, but we have to choose the right ones. And those are the ones that we can work with, that we can see sort of a light at the end of the tunnel, where they're not expecting ridiculous amounts of work, where they're not trying to barter down on the price, where they're obviously not telling me that their idea is better than mine and that they want me to do their idea. We can generally tell within the first couple of emails whether someone is sort of a good client for us. So generally we'll just say no to a client who isn't the one for us, and the one for us is someone who respects the craft, the time, and also someone who can invest. The second reason why I say no to potential work and clients is that they already know what they want. They just want you to produce it. And it kind of can shock clients, but I'm not a producer, and I have to explain this. A producer is different from a designer. Producer is someone who takes an idea of someone else and makes it nice for them. So they normally have an idea. Maybe it's of a caterpillar, a logo like a caterpillar, and I'm supposed to make it look really good. And this caterpillar logo is for a plumbing company. So therefore, there's a complete disconnect in appropriateness for these two things, this plumbing company and a caterpillar. This is a really weird example. And generally when a client says, no, I know exactly why I want this caterpillar, it's got to be in there. If that happens, we would just say no to the project. There's no winning in that. I can't win. I can't help the client with this logo. But if a client does say, well, we want to work with you on this in collaboration, we've got a few ideas, but we'd love to hear your thoughts, that is great because one, they've got a goal at the end. So those ideas are generally goals. And most of the time, if not nearly all the time, when I create a logo, then very excited about the process and about the end result that I'm going to give them. But if the client already knows what he wants and you've already started working for them, what I would suggest for you to do is to do what they want. So create what they want, and then also create what you think would work and back it up through a presentation. Rehearse that presentation, get it written down, meet them on a formal Zoom call and explain to them the concepts and why they work. And again, a lot of you will be saying, well, it's easy for experts and professionals to say, and it is. It is a lot easier for me to say. But how do you become an expert and a professional? Well, for me, I'm kind of a laid back dude. I don't really look like the standard businessman, but what I have to do in these situations is position myself as a professional and an expert. This doesn't mean manipulating the client, because you're not. You just need to put the professional hat back on and start talking to them about why the design that you're creating for them will be better, and how you're going to do the research and how that research means a lot, and talking about scale, appropriateness, simplification, power of reduction, all these things, and explain to them why you're called a designer. You're not called a producer for a reason. Now, when someone tries to barter you on the price as a designer, which normally happens a lot, they can haggle, which is okay because that's called negotiations. When you're doing this, you need to make sure that the client, first and foremost, does not have a budget mindset. Now, this is kind of hard to gauge the further you go into companies from small to high. If you're working for a small company, generally they won't have much of a huge budget, but you need to make sure that they're in more of an investment mindset. A lot of the time, designers in the world now are filled with clients with a budget mindset, and that's okay to have a budget. But the difference between a budget mindset and an investment mindset is that an investment understands what's going to happen next, that they're going to make their money back. It's not as if the budget's there for it to be an expense. So to switch the client's mind from a budget or an expense mindset to an investment mindset is going to change the game. It allows the client to really understand that what you're doing is investing into that company through your professionalism and expertise. Now, for anyone who's working with clients at the minute that they don't want to work with, here's a little tip that's helped me, because sometimes, a lot of the time in the past, that I've worked with clients that I've said, okay, I should not have worked with this guy because of this, this, and this, and it's blah, 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 blah. It's really annoying. Well, the number one lesson I found is that it is very damaging to the whole process with that client to agree with them on things that you know aren't true. If you're a designer and you're agreeing with them about, a typeface choice that is obviously not true, and obviously not correct, for instance, having Comic Sans as a lawyer's typeface, then you are damaging not only yourself, but that client, because that client is there seeking your professional services. They are asking you your subjective opinion, which is really objective, because you know what you're doing. You've had experience in this field. So making sure that you are steadfast in saying yes and no, and that is good and that is bad, is important. So generally, when it comes to me, my story will be different to a lot of you guys, especially if you're just starting out in this situation and in this time. But a red flag that you guys need to know, that you need to see in a client before you ever take them on as your client, is this. Do they have a goal in mind, or do they just want this logo just to look cool? Well, if they just don't have goals in mind for this logo, and the goal is simply just to create a company, you guys need to either work with that client, which you can do. It's very easy once you know what you're doing and you understand how to communicate that to them. But if you can't do that, then I would stay away. Having goals in design briefs are huge. If you don't have one, then you're just going around in circles. Nothing's going to be done because the client feels like you haven't done anything. You haven't met a need. So we need to find the problem and solve it. And that isn't simply just designing them something that isn't designed yet. That is solving a specific problem within that company. This is why every company rebrands, and this is why companies spend thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, nearly millions of pounds rebranding their company through visuals, through the logo, through the tonality, through the color choices, through the web design and how they look on social media. They spend a lot of money for that reason. It makes them more money. They're investing into their company. So I hope this video helped some of you guys. I know it was a bit here and there all around the video, but it is more of my advice given to you guys, seeing how you generally ask me a lot, whether it's in the Discord or in the comment section, how these things kind of work. So I wanted to give you that today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did like the video, please press that red subscribe button, turning on all post notifications, and make sure you've got your notification setting on your phone switched on so you can receive the notifications when I upload them. If there's any video topics you would like me to cover in these videos, please let me know in the comment section below. I do check them nearly every other day, and I do try to respond to as many comments as possible. So ask your questions in there or give me some video ideas. I will be eternally grateful. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye.